What if I told you that manifestation is instant? Not fast, not eventually, but instant. That idea comes from Neville Goddard. And the first time I came across it, it completely challenged how I thought manifestation worked. Because if manifestation were really instant, it would change everything about how you visualize, how you wait, and how you interpret what's happening when things haven't shown up yet. For a long time, I thought I understood manifestation, but Neville's perspective forced me to question one core assumption I didn't even realize I was making. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. In this video, I want to walk you through what Neville Goddard meant by instant manifestation, where most people misunderstand this idea and the subtle shift that changed how manifestation actually works for me. If you stay until the end, you'll see why manifestation might not be slow at all, and why the way you've been measuring results could be the very thing creating doubt. If you're open to rethinking what manifestation really means, go ahead and hit like. It tells me to keep sharing the perspectives that have genuinely shifted things for me. Now, let's talk about manifestation, Neville Goddard, and how you can get instant results. By the way, if we haven't met yet, I'm Mariah. I'm a luxury brand designer and business coach. And I help ambitious women stop gripping outcomes and start creating results from clarity and self-trust. If you want mindset work that actually changes your results, not just sounds good on Instagram, hit subscribe. You are in the right place. Now, let's talk about why this is so hard. Manifestation feels slow because you're measuring the wrong thing. Here's the part no one explains clearly, and it's the reason manifestation feels slow, inconsistent, or like it works for everyone but you. Most people are measuring manifestation by external evidence. They're watching their bank account, their client inquiries, their relationship status, their calendar, and they're using those things to decide whether manifestation is working. But that's not where manifestation happens. So the moment nothing changes yet, they assume they're doing something wrong, or that manifestation takes longer than they thought. And that assumption quietly collapses their belief. Not because manifestation failed, but because they were watching the wrong scoreboard. Why tracking external results creates doubt. Here's what usually happens. You decide what you want, you visualize it, you affirm it, you try to stay in alignment, and then you check. Did anything change? Did it show up yet? Is there a sign? That checking feels harmless, even responsible, but energetically and psychologically, it does something very subtle. It keeps your attention anchored to the absence. Every time you look for evidence and don't see it, your brain quietly logs, still not here, still waiting, still not working. And over time, that creates impatience, then frustration, then doubt. Not because you don't believe in manifestation, but because you're asking the external world to confirm an internal shift that hasn't fully stabilized yet. You're using the effect to judge the cause, and that's backwards. Manifestation doesn't start in your circumstances. It starts in your state. The moment manifestation actually happens. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Manifestation happens the moment your internal relationship to reality shifts. Not when the thing shows up, but when your expectation changes, when you no longer feel like you're waiting, when the desire feels settled instead of urgent, when your nervous system stops bracing and starts assuming. That shift is subtle, and because it's internal, most people don't count it as a result. But it's the only result that matters at first, because once that internal state changes, your actions change. You stop forcing, you stop overthinking, you stop trying to control timing. You respond differently, you decide differently, you show up differently. And those actions are what eventually creates visible results. So when people say manifestation feels slow, what they usually mean is, I haven't seen proof yet. But proof was never the first step. The first step was always the internal shift, and most people don't know how to recognize it, so they overlook it completely. That's why manifestation feels inconsistent. They're waiting for reality to change before they allow their state to change. And that's the exact thing that keeps everything feeling delayed. Instant means a shift in state, not instant physical results. This is where manifestation finally stops feeling confusing, because the moment you understand what instant actually refers to, everything clicks into place. When Neville Goddard said manifestation is instant, he wasn't talking about the physical world rearranging itself on command. He was talking about the moment you shift states, the moment your internal experience changes. That moment is immediate, whether you notice it or not. And this is exactly where most people get tripped up, because they think they're manifesting things when what they're really manifesting is a feeling. You think you want a thing, but what you want is the feeling. This is one of the biggest aha moments I see when working with clients. They come to me wanting something very specific: more money, more clients, a different job, a relationship, freedom, validation, ease. And on the surface, it looks like the desire is about the circumstance. But when we slow it down just a little, something else becomes obvious. They don't actually want that thing. They want how they think they'll feel once they have the thing. Safe, confident, relaxed, chosen, successful, free. Chasing a feeling is the only reason we ever want anything. We don't want money. We want security or relief. We don't want clients. We want validation or stability. We don't want the relationship. We want connection or belonging. The circumstance is just the symbol. The feeling is the real desire. And the moment that lands, manifestation starts to feel very different. Because if what you're actually after is a feeling, then waiting on a circumstance to give it to you suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. This is where the model changes everything. This is exactly why I use the model with clients, not to strip manifestation of meaning, but to make it usable, practical, and logical. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Circumstances are neutral. Thoughts create feelings. Feelings drive actions, and actions create results. Most people try to manifest by jumping straight to the result. They focus on the outcome they want, the circumstance, and hope the feeling will follow. But the model shows you something radical. The feeling doesn't come from the circumstance. It comes from the thought you're having about it, which means you don't have to wait. And when clients really see this, not intellectually, but experientially, it's a game changer. Because they realize they've been outsourcing their emotional state to the future. I'll feel confident when, I'll relax once, I'll feel safe after. And suddenly they see why manifestation has felt slow. They've been waiting for permission to feel the very thing that creates the shift. A client moment that makes this click instantly. I had a client who came to me convinced she wanted to leave her job. She told me, "I just want to be out. I'll finally feel free." We slowed down. And when I asked her what free actually felt like in her body, she paused. She said, "Calm, like I can breathe, like I'm not constantly on edge." That's when it clicked for her. She didn't want a new job. She wanted calm. And the moment she saw that, the work changed. Instead of waiting for her job situation to change before allowing herself to feel calm, we worked on the thoughts that were keeping her nervous system in a constant state of agitation. Within weeks, her entire experience of her job shifted. Not because the job changed, but because she did. And from that state, different decisions became obvious. Different opportunities showed up, not magically, logically. This is what Neville meant when he said feeling is the key. The shift happens internally at first. That shift is instant. The physical world just catches up after. You're not manifesting what you want, you're manifesting what you expect. This is where manifestation stops feeling personal and starts feeling predictable, because once you zoom out, it becomes obvious. You're not manifesting what you want. You're manifesting what you expect. What your mind is rehearsing, what feels familiar, what you're quietly preparing for. Desire is loud. Expectation is quiet, and expectation is what runs the show. You can want something deeply, but still not be available for it. You can visualize it every day and still be bracing for disappointment underneath. And when that's happening, your actions will always match the expectation, not the desire. Automatically. Manifestation on autopilot. This is the part people miss. Your mind is constantly making predictions about money, about relationships, about timing, about what's realistic for you. Those predictions don't feel like thoughts. They feel like common sense. And from those expectations, you act. You hesitate, you overprepare, you hold back, you don't fully commit, you wait for confirmation. Not because you're sabotaging yourself, but because you're aligning with what you expect to happen. That's manifestation on autopilot, and it's happening whether you believe in manifestation or not. This is why someone can know all the right concepts, do all the practices, and still feel stuck. Because knowledge doesn't change expectation. Only awareness does. The moment you start noticing what you're actually expecting, not what you want, but what you're rehearsing, you get your power back. And from there, everything becomes adjustable. Thought awareness is the missing step in law of attraction. This is where most law of attraction advice quietly breaks down, because once people hear thoughts create reality, they assume the solution is to think better thoughts. So they try to replace negativity with positivity. They add affirmations on top of frustration. They force optimism over anxiety. And when that doesn't work, they assume they're doing manifestation wrong. They're not. They're just skipping the most important step. Awareness. You cannot change a thought you don't realize you're thinking. And most of the thoughts shaping your life are the ones running so quietly in the background, they feel like facts. Why awareness changes everything without force. This is what I see constantly when I work with clients. They tell me, I don't know why this isn't working. I'm doing all the right mindset things. But when we slow things down, a different picture emerges. There's an unexamined thought underneath it all. Like, this shouldn't be hard, or I'm behind, or this probably won't work out for me, or I don't trust this yet. Those thoughts aren't loud or dramatic. They're very familiar. So familiar, they don't register as thoughts at all. They feel like reality. And from those thoughts, the same feelings keep showing up. The same hesitation, the same overthinking, and the same results. Awareness is the moment those thoughts move from invisible to optional, not because you argue with them, not because you replace them immediately, but because once you see a thought as a thought instead of a fact, you're no longer trapped inside of it. That's when manifestation stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like choice. Manifestation becomes easy when you stop letting circumstances lead. Here's the shift that brings everything together, and it's usually the one people resist the most at first. Manifestation becomes easier the moment you stop letting your circumstances lead your emotional life. Not because circumstances don't matter, but because they are terrible leaders. Most people live like this. Something happens, they react, they feel, they decide, they act, which means their entire inner world is always downstream of whatever just occurred. An email, a number, a response, a delay. And from that place, manifestation will always feel exhausting because you're trying to create change from inside the reaction. When circumstances are in charge, you're always catching up. This is what it sounds like in real life. I'll feel better once this changes. I just need to work this out. I can't relax until I know what's happening. And again, this makes complete sense, but it also quietly gives away all of your power because now your internal state is dependent on something you can't control. And when your internal state is unstable, your actions become inconsistent. Some days you feel confident. Some days you spiral. Some days you're motivated. Some days you freeze. Not because you're flaky, but because your thoughts are reacting to circumstances instead of leading them. This is why manifestation feels like a roller coaster for so many people. They're waiting for the external world to stabilize before they allow themselves to feel grounded. And it never quite works. What changes when you lead instead? When you stop letting circumstances lead, something very different happens. You start noticing your thoughts in real time. You catch the interpretation before it turns into a spiral. You feel the emotion without letting it drive the decision. You choose your response instead of defaulting to habit. And from there, your actions change naturally. Not forced, not hyped, not high vibe, grounded. This is where manifestation stops feeling mystical and starts feeling practical because now you're not trying to control reality. You're working with your mind, the thing that's been shaping your experience the entire time. And once that clicks, you don't feel at the mercy of timing anymore. You feel resourced. Why this is hard to do alone, even when you understand it. This is the part people don't love hearing, but it matters. You can understand all of this conceptually and still struggle to apply it consistently. Not because you're failing, but because you can't always see your own thinking while you're inside of it. Your most powerful thoughts are the quiet ones, the familiar ones, the ones that feel like, it's just how it is. This is exactly why when I work with clients one-on-one, things shift faster. Not because I have better ideas, not because they're broken, but because I can hear what they can't yet. I can point to the thought they're treating like a fact. I can slow down the moment where they're about to give their power away. I can help them choose differently in real time. And once someone experiences that a few times, it changes how they relate to their mind forever. Manifestation stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like conscious choice. The real reason this feels like relief. This is what I want you to hear clearly. You were never bad at manifesting. You weren't missing discipline. You weren't doing it wrong. You were just letting circumstances run the show. And the moment you stop doing that, the moment you learn how to work with your thoughts instead of reacting to them, manifestation becomes simpler, quieter, more stable, and more consistent. That's not because life stops happening, it's because you stop being pulled around by it. If you're thinking right now, I get this, but I know I need help actually doing it, that's not weakness, that's clarity. This work is incredibly powerful and it's much easier to integrate when you're not doing it alone. If you want support learning how to lead your mind, your emotions, and your decisions, not just understand this intellectually, then one-on-one coaching is where this comes to life. Not in theory, not in another video, but in real moments, real decisions, and real shifts. I'll tell you exactly what to look at, help you catch what you've been missing, and teach you how to do this in a way that actually sticks. If you're ready to stop trying to figure this all out on your own, apply for one-on-one coaching now. The link is in the description. Now that you understand why manifestation works the way it does, the next question is how to apply this day to day, especially when emotions are high and circumstances feel loud. That's exactly what I break down in the next video, so I'll see you over there.